a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
And welcome to the show. We appreciate you spending some time with us here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We got a great lineup for you today. Per usual, attorney Anthony Rickman back in studio, the Rickman Law Firm, criminal defense attorney. We're going to talk about the Ybor shooting that happened a few weeks ago, as well as the Dems trying to disqualify President Trump, stating insurrection. We're going to break that down. Also, Logan Briggs, Total Home Roofing on the Consumer Quarterback Show, and Shane Socash, David Reynolds, Jewelry and Coin on the program today. Before we do, a couple of hot listings from the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. We got a hot listing here at 13906 Bardmore Place, Unit B in Carrollwood. We've got a townhome, single-family home attached here. Beautiful property here. You have a 5-person jacuzzi tub. You have a fenced-in backyard and a gorgeous interior update. 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bath, 2-car garage, 2,100 square feet, hurricane impact windows throughout at 13906 Bardmore Place, Unit B in Tampa, Carrollwood. Beautiful townhome available for sale right here in beautiful Tampa Bay. 3048 Diana Drive. This one qualifies for 100% financing. Diana Drive is over an acre of land, almost 1.2 acres of land, and you have a single-family home qualifying for 100% financing through the USDA at 3048 Diana Drive. 4 spacious bedrooms, 2 full bathrooms. You got a master suite with a garden tub, double sink, and a separate shower in the highly desirable area of South Zephyr Hills. So you can bring your 4-wheelers, your 3-wheelers, dirt bikes, all your toys, and enjoy the rural country living at 3048 Diana Drive, Zephyr Hills. And you can see all of our real estate listings at PlatinumCoastalElite.com.
This is God's country.
All right, Anthony Rickman in studio. Welcome back, my friend.
Right, it's good to be back.
Yes, sir. You've been doing a lot of traveling. You've been busy with cases.
Yeah, I got big practice. We handle cases all throughout the state of Florida. I was in federal court in Fort Lauderdale yesterday. So, my practice, we handle state and federal criminal defense cases throughout the state, anywhere from DUI to first-degree murder to DUI manslaughter. So I handle a wide variety of cases. And, we talk about consumer, trusting consumers. There are a lot of lawyers out there. Yeah. And there are a lot of, bad lawyers out there too. And it's important when you're going to hire a lawyer that you know this lawyer is able to do the work. You interview this lawyer. Don't just hire a lawyer off a fancy website. That you go out and you meet with the lawyer, understand what he's doing, looking at his or her track record. For me and my law firm, we do great work for our clients, and we handle very serious cases, and we handle, any type of cases. So especially over the holiday season, we see an influx of different types of cases. Now we're at that time where, unfortunately, holidays come around, people start drinking, and the big cases we see now are domestic violence. We see a lot of DUIs. Holiday parties are coming up. So if you're arrested, accused of a crime, it's important to get representation. It's important to interview that lawyer and make sure you hire the right lawyer for you. Because there are a lot of lawyers out there, and I hate to say it, you get what you pay for. A lot of lawyers say, hey, we'll handle this case for X amount of dollars. Well, if it's pretty low, it's low for a reason.
Yeah.
So it's important to make sure that you get the right lawyer for your case and that lawyer is doing what he needs to do for you.
Yeah, be diligent. What kind of questions would be good questions to ask?
Look, when you're interviewing a lawyer, first of all, they're going to make sure that they're going to pay attention to you, that lawyer is going to be able to provide you what you need, that lawyer's experience in a type of case you have. There are lawyers out there who may take a case that they just have no business taking. Somebody who doesn't know how to try a murder case, doesn't know how to try a self-defense case, doesn't know how to try a DUI manslaughter or a vehicular homicide. Not every lawyer is equipped or has the resources to handle every type of case. In my law firm, we handle everything from murder to manslaughter to misdemeanor batteries. And with our attorneys at my firm, we're all former prosecutors. I have over 18 years experience. My other attorneys with me have over 10 years experience each, one 16 years. And when you get our firm, you get all the attorneys in our firm. And all of us are experienced in trying cases, litigating cases, and working up the cases for our clients. A lot of lawyers say, well, I've gone to trial 100 times this year. Well, that's probably because you're not doing the work you need to get a better result before you get there.
Right. I want to talk about a couple specific cases now with attorney Anthony Rickman here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. So the Ybor shooting last week or a couple weeks back, it was, it seems like they always want to try to make these things more than they are. Mass shootings, guns involved. What was it really?
Look, at the end of the day, what this was is 2 rival groups coming together and acting like idiots, taking out guns, and innocent people got killed because of 2 Well, one innocent person got killed and people were injured because of two groups who had guns, who shouldn't have guns, who probably shouldn't have been in Ybor in the first place. But when you hear it categorized as a mass shooting, really this isn't what that was. This isn't somebody who walked into Ybor City with an AR-15 like we see on TV, or all the different types of shootings, or with firearms and shot up the place. This is two, groups of people who had a beef, and they came together, and they, unfortunately, they tried to settle their dispute in crowded Ybor City on Halloween weekend.
Instead of man-to-man, fist-to-fist, throwing some fists, that's one thing.
But you have problems. You have people who shouldn't have guns, and taking guns away from people who should have guns doesn't stop bad people from getting guns.
That's right.
You see 14-year-old kids. You see people who have criminal histories. People who should not have guns. Having guns, and this is what happens when people get guns who shouldn't have it, and when good people who don't have guns can't protect themselves.
Right.
And we live in a society. We have stand your ground. We have the right to carry here in the state of Florida. And our gun laws in the state of Florida allow people to carry and protect themselves when a threat is perceived. Interesting enough, in this case itself, the only shooter who's been arrested thus far is going to raise self-defense. He's going to raise stand your ground. Huh. This individual, the shooter, the one who killed the 14-year-old, is going to say the 14-year-old tried to attack him, was going for his gun, so he shot him first. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out throughout the courts now with stand your ground, with justifiable use of deadly force, because if you're in a place where you have the right to be and you're not committing a crime, and you are attacked, you have the right to meet force, including deadly force, to prevent that attack, to prevent yourself from being killed. Now, in this particular situation, that may not rise to the level because there's a lot of issues going on beforehand that started this situation with these two groups. But at the end of the day, ultimately, we know it's on video. We know this person shot. So in those circumstances, we know there's a confrontation also. You're going to see most likely stand your ground or self-defense in defense of this person. And look, the state of Florida is doing, the Hillsborough County State Attorney's Office, TPD, they're doing an excellent job right now in what we're doing here in Tampa. I know violent crime is down. Gun crimes are down. Gun violence is down. Because what they're doing is taking guns away from people who shouldn't have it. Murder's down in the city of Tampa. And you have to credit State Attorney Susie Lopez and Tampa Police Department for what they're doing now to reduce crime. And now they're prosecuting those crimes in criminal court. Now, a lot of my time.
Isn't that part of it? Governor DeSantis also pulled one of those prosecutors that was openly saying, "Hey, I'm not going to force this type of crime." Yeah,
we have a new prosecutor now, and what Susie's doing, Susie Lopez, as the prosecutor, is that she is enforcing the law, and she's going after the crimes, and she's prosecuting those crimes at her office. Not to say the other prosecutor wasn't doing it, but the way her office is now is not prosecuting cases.
Right.
They are prosecuting cases when arrests are being made.
Yeah. I want to switch gears, talk a little bit on national here, and thanks for that update, by the way. That was interesting with the Ybor shooting, because we heard a lot about that. I was actually down in Ybor years ago. I think it was like when I was playing football at USF, and I remember there was gunshots rang out and people started running. So it's always been a problem down there at Ybor.
Yeah, it's we probably ran the same circles. I was a club promoter in Ybor in college. So I mean, I'm in a charity group. We just threw our party the week before, and everything was fine. And what I don't want to see, and what we don't want to see, people in Tampa don't want to see, is we don't want to see Ybor shut down because irresponsible people did irresponsible things.
Yeah, exactly.
And the knee-jerk reaction is shut down the bars at 1 a.m., take people off. No. Be responsible.
Yeah.
If you got a 14-year-old, tell your 14-year-old stay home.
Yeah.
Don't go out walking Ybor. And law enforcement was there. There was a good law enforcement presence, and unfortunately, bad people are going to do bad things.
Yeah. Man, how about punishing these kids? What about making it public? What about a good old public caning like they used to do, man?
Well, when you talk about the change in the prosecution, now we see, even on my end, unfortunately for my clients too, we see a lot more juveniles charged in adult court.
Right.
Than the previous administration was doing in the state attorney's office.
Yeah.
And, the current state attorney is making an effort to, if your crime requires it, they're going to upgrade it.
Right.
They're going to charge you as an adult. And we're going to see, in my opinion, less juveniles
committing
more serious crimes because, they know it's not just a slap on the wrist in juvenile court.
Yeah. I want to start this. I want to go national news here, a little bit more national politics, but I want to start with a quote or a tweet from DC Drano. He does a great job. Rogan O'Hanley's an attorney, I believe, down in Sarasota area, but he's just very on top of the pulse of the political climate and what's happening. So he says they coordinated to unleash COVID during an election year, fortified with, in quotes, the election with mail-in ballots, internet algorithm rigging, and censorship, banned the sitting president of the United States from all social media, unleashed anarcho-tyranny with BLM and Antifa riots, kept you in your house with lockdowns, set a trap on J6 to justify DOJ and FBI weaponization against 74 million Americans, forced you to be injected against your will, opened the borders, crashed the economy on a run, to force a run on the U.S. Treasury, and instigated multiple wars. And now they roll out the red carpet for a communist dictator who owns half of the politicians in America so he can come inspect his work like a conquering warlord. Make no mistake about it, we're at war already, a war unlike any other we've been involved with. 2/3 of the country doesn't yet realize it yet. And then so I wanted to go to this clip. Well, first, let's get your reaction to that, and then I got a clip that also kind of furthers that because of what they're doing to President Trump. Any reaction to that?
I mean, when you listen to this quote, I mean, he's not wrong on a lot of things.
Right.
At the end of the day, we are rolling out the red carpet to Z. We see, what they did, how they welcomed him in like a god in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, they are not our friends.
Yeah.
Okay, they're trying to undermine what we do as a country. We know that COVID originated there. We know that they are not our friends, but keep your friends close, your enemies closer. Is that the theory? We don't know what the overarching theory is, but the optics of it, obviously, it doesn't look good. And not only are they buying our politicians, they're buying our land.
Yes.
They're putting land by our bases. They're doing things that are also counterproductive, but also dangerous to us as a country.
Yeah, spy balloons. I mean, there's a lot in that quote, but I love the way he laid it out. So I've got a clip here I want to play about what they're trying to do to President Trump, disqualifying him through the use of this insurrection claim. Here we go. We're going to roll
the
tape.
post-Civil War Reconstruction effort, they were undermining the Union because they were getting elected to places like the House of Representatives. So you can disqualify him, right? You can disqualify someone who did this. There is an 1869 case that is controlling. It's the only one that's on point. It's by Chief Justice Samuel Chase, and it held that if you want to disqualify someone for insurrection or rebellion under the 13th Amendment, Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, Congress has to pass a federal criminal statute for insurrection or rebellion under Section 5 of the 14th Amendment, which Congress did in 1870. It's still in the books. It was last updated in 1948. If you want to disqualify Trump for insurrection or rebellion, you have to have a federal prosecutor like Jack Smith charge him for insurrection or rebellion under this criminal statute. The jury has to unanimously find him guilty with evidence beyond a reasonable doubt. The judge has to convict, and that conviction must be upheld on appeal. That's the only way.
So anyways, that's a long clip, but it goes on to say how it's bogus because when have we ever had an insurrection or an insurrection attempt that none of the insurrectionists had weapons? Like they didn't have any ARs or even 9mm, at this so-called J6 insurrection.
Yeah, so when you see how we got here today.
Yeah.
I mean, the Oath Keepers case, for instance, that was really, in my opinion, the test case that allowed Jack Smith to give him authority to do what he has done to Trump. We know Stuart Rhodes was prosecuted, and he wasn't even there. Didn't go inside. And under this overarching theory, under the conspiracy to commit or the organization to go after, when you're going after an organization, it's really similar to what they're doing to Trump, is that they're saying that he cultivated this insurrection. At the end of the day, you have to prove that the insurrection actually existed. And that's why they're not going that route.
Yeah.
The real route they're going is they're trying to convict Trump on anything they can convict him of to try and disqualify him from running against Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, polling shows that Trump beats him, kills him, head to head. And if you can't win an election on the merits, well, let's go and try and eliminate the candidate. And that is not what the justice system is created for.
Right.
That's not what DOJ is created for. That's not Jack Smith's job. And when you see all of these different prosecutions, when you see the 4 active cases, you see the New York, what's going on, the charade, the show that's going on in New York right now. It's,
the civil case about the value of the. Yeah.
And you have it's tried by a judge and not a jury, and the judge has already, been lambasting the former president the whole trial. I mean, how do you get a fair shake?
Yep.
And at the end of the day, if you can't beat him, eliminate him.
Yeah.
And that seems to be what they are trying to do, and they're using our justice system to do it.
Yeah.
When we talk about, J6, we know, we were talking about earlier today that, just past this last week where we have a violent uprising at Democratic headquarters where 6 Capitol police officers are injured.
Mm-hmm.
You know how many arrests? 1.
Wow.
1 arrest of, Hamas sympathizers protesting at the Capitol injuring Capitol Police, and we have one arrest.
Yeah.
But that's not an insurrection. We know there's been times where people have stormed the Tennessee legislature, the other parts of refused to leave Capitol and not one arrest or charge.
Yeah.
And what we see here is politically driven.
Yep.
And that is not the purpose of our justice system.
Absolutely. Let's take a quick break there. More with attorney Anthony Rickman coming up here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Criminal defense attorney right here in Tampa Bay on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Check us out online at consumerqb.com. Consumerqb.com.
Hey, I'm Ken Shamrock, and you're here with Consumer Quarterback Show. And I say, Brandon Rhymes, knock out your competition.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 727-263-3707. Online at consumerqb.com.
Dennis Prager here for Brandon and Lindsay Rhymes, owners of the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams. Buying, selling, investing in real estate, their nationwide Keller Williams network makes them the best team to work with. Sellers, have your property featured live on air, creating multiple offers. Buyers, leverage a unique system that gets your offer accepted, never overlooked. Call or text 813-750-0550, 813-750-0550, or consumerqb.com.
I want to give a special thanks to Satellite Phone Store. They just hooked me up with this beautiful satellite phone, and it's a gorgeous phone. It's a great device. It's a safety device as well. Think about it. If you're out on the boat 40, 50 miles out, maybe you're going hunting or you're going hiking in the woods somewhere, you run out of cell phone service, or who knows, maybe a possible terrorist attack. It's not like our politicians aren't entrenched in all this stuff going on overseas, all over the place, all over the world. Could be a terrorist attack. They could attack the power grid. They could attack the cell phones. Who knows what they're going to attack next. Sat123.com/REQB. Sat for satellite. Sat123.com/REQB, like real estate quarterback.
You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-917-1894.
All right, welcome back. Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. We've got attorney Anthony Rickman here in studio, criminal defense attorney right here in Tampa Bay. Now, Anthony, I wanted to talk a little bit about, just other cases. There's so much going on. I mean, how do we get to this point where here's another quick clip. This is a quicker one, but it talks about the fees, the broker fees that Hunter has made with some of these companies.
It turned out that Hunter Biden, the Biden family itself, actually had direct financial partnerships with Chinese energy firms who are very active in the state of California. But one of the examples from the Biden laptop, it turned out that Hunter Biden was actually serving as the broker to try to sell a Louisiana LNG port, a natural gas port, to Chinese investors and collecting essentially a broker's fee for selling off U.S. assets to China.
Yeah, so, there's all this evidence piling up on this side, but they're still making up these cases against Trump.
If his name was Hunter Trump,
yeah,
and he was the son of the former president,
yeah,
Hunter Trump / Biden would be in prison right now, or at least sitting in jail waiting his trial.
Oh, yeah.
And when you talk about our system, we talked about in the last segment, where the law is the law, and the law is written in a way in which it is supposed to be applied equally across the board. That's why when you see Lady Justice,
yep,
she's blind.
Yes.
Because Lady Justice should be blind to race, socioeconomics, political, who you are politically, who your family is, who your daddy may be.
Yep. That's
what Lady Justice is, and that's what our system of justice is. And no matter what party you're on, what side you're on, whether you're Republican, Democrat, we should all be offended by the fact that justice is not applied equally across the board.
Yep.
And in this particular situation, what we see with the Trump prosecutions, what we see with the lack of prosecution of Hunter Biden, that justice sometimes isn't applied equally.
Right.
We see it in our system. There's a history of certain groups being prosecuted different than other groups.
Yep.
And I see it every day in practice. But in this particular situation, we know that Hunter avoided initially being charged, was given a sweetheart deal.
Yeah.
And the more you pulled the string, right, the more unravels about Hunter Biden.
Yep.
And the more he is insulated by his father and by the Department of Justice, which is supposed to be immune from political pressure, immune from who his daddy is. That's why you have special prosecutors.
Yep.
And in this case, luckily and thankfully, he is being prosecuted. We're going to see to what extent he is being prosecuted if that case actually proceeds to trial, or if he enters some sort of negotiated plea with the government where they agree to drop charges. But at the end of the day, we know the judge who has this case is not putting up with the politics. And she's already thrown out one deal with Hunter Biden. We'll see what she does with the case as it proceeds.
Yeah, it's really crazy to see. And then, the constant attack on the guns is another thing. Trying to take away the Second Amendment, where you had in Israel, what happened, 1,400 people killed brutally that day. And if they didn't have, if we didn't have guns, the same thing could happen to us.
Without a doubt, we have a right to bear arms and the right to create militia. That's why the Second Amendment exists, because it is a check on the government coming in and doing something, but it also provides individuals with the protection, because we have our inalienable rights.
Yep.
And the first one is life.
Yep.
And we have the right to protect our lives, and that's why we have that Second Amendment.
Yeah.
And what we see and what we've seen throughout the years is the government slowly taking away the rights of good citizens to possess firearms. And in this, we've talked about it in Ybor, bad people are going to get guns.
Yep.
It is naive to think that if you take the right of people, the right away for people to carry guns lawfully, that bad guys aren't going to all of a sudden stop carrying guns illegally.
Yeah.
The real check is that when you go into somebody's house with a gun illegally, knowing that the guy in the house probably has a much larger gun than you that shoots a lot more bullets.
Yeah.
And that is a real check. That's going to be that's what we call preventative measures in your own home to protect yourself. Or when you're in a car and someone comes up to your window and they're going to attack you, you have the right to defend yourself.
Right.
And the question becomes, and unfortunately now we have the police who come to the scene, they got to make the decision, right? They got to decide who was the aggressor, who was the aggravator, who was the initiator, and did the use of force, was it justified for what happened? And a lot of my cases that I handle now, where I have stand your ground, where I raise stand your ground, I have multiple cases pending right now where we're raising stand your ground for law-abiding citizens who lawfully possess firearms, who use those firearms to protect themselves, who are now being prosecuted by the state.
Wow.
Because a law enforcement officer didn't do a thorough investigation, because law enforcement rushed to judgment on who the aggressor was. And a lot of times we have to show the judge, we have to show the court, and potentially even the jury, that my client was justified in using that deadly force, because people do have the right to carry guns.
Yeah.
They do have the right to defend themselves. And that is a right that we've had since the inception of our country.
Right. Yeah, absolutely, and we should remain. We got about a minute left, but with the new law, the constitutional carry, does that eliminate? I get this question from time to time out in the community. Does that eliminate people that have their card for marijuana?
That's a question that we're still trying to decipher now. But now with the constitutional carry, it's not a disqualifier.
Okay.
The way that it's written, the constitutional carry allows you to carry a firearm concealed on you as long as you're not disqualified, convictions of felonies, mental health issues that prevent you from doing it, our risk protection orders, injunctions, those type of things that are disqualifiers. Anyone who wants to carry a firearm, I implore them to go read the statute so they know for themselves, so that they're not disqualified. Because what we are seeing, although it's constitutional carry, people carrying when they're not allowed to carry.
Right.
Convicted felons, you can't carry. Even though it's constitutional carry, it doesn't give you a constitutional right. If you're charged as a felon in possession and it's actually on you, it's 3 years mandatory prison.
Yeah.
So people have to be careful when they carry.
School zones, bars, federal buildings.
Yes. So if you're going to carry, know the law.
Yeah, exactly.
And carry responsibly. Doesn't give you the right to be the wild, wild west. Start shooting people up. That's what we saw in Ybor.
Absolutely. What's the website, my friend?
TheRickmanLawFirm.com, 813-999-0502. Anthony Rickman. Call me anytime, 24 hours a day. My phone's always on me.
TheRickmanLawFirm.com. You can find them online. Thanks a lot, Anthony.
Thank you for having me.
Logan Briggs coming up. Total Home Roofing on the Consumer Quarterback Show. ConsumerQB.com.
Thanks for listening to my daddy's show. Please make sure to send him all of your real estate deals and subscribe to the Consumer Quarterback Show podcast on iTunes and Spotify.